Good afternoon, everybody. Now, how we were just recently talking about what was going on in France in 1916, how you had the Battle of Verdun and how that was going, and how the whole point of the Battle of the Somme was for the British to help take the pressure off the French by pulling the Germans that way. The French were trying to get the Russians on the Eastern Front to try to do the exact same thing, to try to see if Germany can pull some of its troops that way to thwart a Russian attack. So what they did is in March of 1916, the Russian Second Army under General Smirnov attacked the area where the German 10th Army was, where there was also Austro-Hungarians. He had a total of 1.5 million men in that area. And what he decided to do is hit an area in the Vilnius region, which is now modern-day Lithuania. And he had 350,000 Russians going against what were 75,000 Germans. Just for the sake of numbers alone, he thought it would easily wipe the area. And in the second week of March, they began doing a heavy artillery bombardment similar to what was done in the Battle of the Somme. And on March 19th, they began the offensive. And this is what was happening, was the time of what's called in Russia the Raputista, or called the thaw. That happens every spring and every fall, where literally the snow melts or the rain starts falling, and it literally turns all the unpaved roads in Russia into the equivalent of molasses. Nobody could maneuver. The Russians knew this. My human side was to take a Red Fox approach and yell, "You big dummy!" when they were doing it. They marched out there, men got stuck in the mud. But they were also being good allies to the French. And so they marched out there and they got massacred. The Russians got completely obliterated. They lost over 100,000 men. The Germans lost over 20,000 men in those few days. So that was completely ineffective. So at the same time, the Russians chose to not consider themselves defeated, but they answered the call of Italy shortly thereafter, who was fighting Austro-Hungary in the one area where they can fight, and they were getting pulverized by the Austro-Hungarians, and so they called out for the Russians to help them there. So the next phase of the battle will go into the Brusilov offensive. There you go.